Welcome back to All the Crackers in the Box. Hi, it's me, your friend Corey. Weird. My phone was just being extremely weird. I had started this intro of this video and it just suddenly flashed and completely shut off, so I don't know how much of it caught, so I'm just going to redo this as a brand new one. So I'm working on my dress here. Again, I know it's been a boring week this week, but these are the things I'm working on, and I'm trying to get my time in because I've been kind of lazy this week. Well, not lazy, sick. Been sick for about 3 weeks, and I'm just really, really exhausted because I've been working the whole time. Anyway, yeah, my phone flashed and stopped recording. Kind of odd. I'm not sure what that was about, but anyway, I probably got some weird notification or somebody started calling me. Something like that. Anyhow, working very hard on making sure that this is all done. I'm really wanting it done for summer. I don't think it will be, though. I mean, I'm being realistic. This is a long, big project. I probably won't have it done till next year, next summer, so it'll take me 2 years to do this one. But then again, it all depends on how much time I actually devote to it. So if I can work on it during the week, which I should be, and the other one that I was working on this week, my sparkly cardigan, I should probably be able to get a little further in these ones than I have been. But because they're fine weights, it does take a long time. It is a lot of fine stitching I'm looking at here. Anyhow, I'm super stoked you're here today, and yeah, let's do some crochet. Yes, we are on the double crochet rows. I'm going to try to hold this up here as much as I can. I might move soon. The positioning for good camera views isn't the most comfortable all the time for actual crocheting, especially if I'm trying to get somewhere fast. But I feel like today is going to be one of those days where I kind of do a little housework and then I get back to my crochet, watch a couple videos. I'm not pushing myself because I have a big week coming up again, and there's a lot of, we're doing switch from winter to spring at work, and I brought down about 40 boxes from way up high on a ladder, and everything is ready to be put out. So that is definitely going to be a very busy week, but fun. I love bringing out the cute stuff, the pretty things. It's going to be a good time. Anyway, so I might just make my day nice and easy with lots of extra stitching so I feel calm and totally ready for the week. I got some of my big goals done for this weekend, including a little more steam cleaning done in my house, which is great because it is that time of year for me that I like to do a nice clean up the winter dust out of the carpet so it's not so dusty all summer. And then I like to do it again in the fall, so about every 6 months. Give myself 2 times a year that I do most of the floors. And the bedrooms I do like once a year. But the main walkways, those ones need to be done. I might decide to up it to every 3 months. I don't know. They're getting pretty, the carpets are pretty old, so they definitely have their wear. But that doesn't mean I don't want my carpets to look and smell the best that they can. Anyway, not important. That is a me problem. Alright. Or as I like to say at work on Friday, Monday's me can deal with that. Friday's me is done. That usually gets people laughing pretty hard. It's like, yep, no, I'll save that for Monday. Monday can deal with that. Friday is tired. And wicking it through, we're going on down. Making sure we got this. And working on every row, not missing any of our threads. That's the other thing I don't like doing, is missing my thread up, because then it just has this little bit that sticks out. And I find it irritating, and I'm worried they will get caught and pull and tear the thin threads. So I prefer them to stay together as much as possible so that strength is there. Strength in numbers, you know what I'm saying. Same thing with your fine fabricing. See, now I only have one. Not good. Not what I wanted. I do know how to crochet mostly. But I do have some minor things I need to work on. I gotta figure out the cuffs, I have to figure out some sizing, and I have to figure out a good stitch for that dress I want to make with my black filament. It is thicker, so I might be using a thicker crochet hook, and if that's the case, I may have to go out and buy another one of these. This one's my travel one. They do sell them in all the sizes, so I might have to pick up a 4, maybe even a 5. Might be a good idea just to do that anyways, because I have been using 4s and 5s quite a bit lately. I have a few blankets that I'd like to get started soon too. I have a couple Graphgans that I really want to get done, but they're further down the list because I have a few more yarns and... oh, sorry. Just trying to move my leg. But yeah, a few more yarns and working a little more on where to make the graph properly, deciding if I should do it by hand with graph paper, which might be okay, or see if I can find a program, because the one that I've formerly used will not install on this new phone. I can't get it anymore. It's installed on all my other phones, but this one, it just is not going to happen. So I might still be able to use it on the old one, but I usually need a picture first, and it does come out kind of not as good as I would like all the time. So there is a couple that I looked at before, so I may be trying out some new pattern making programs. And yeah, if I do that, I will definitely want to make sure that I go through that with everybody, so we can talk about what works, what doesn't work, how to get around the designing part of things, because I mean, not everything you want to make is already designed, and some of it is copyrighted and things like that, which if you want to make a copyrighted thing, I believe, from what I understand, you can, as long as you don't make any money off of it. So say you have a particular character that you know is copyrighted, you can't sell it. Do not sell that. You can, however, keep it for yourself or gift it, which is still a little bit of an iffy area depending on them, on the different character and who made it and what they are willing to do. Like Disney, be very careful. They will come for you. Nintendo, Pokemon, that kind of stuff, they're coming down hard on that right now. It's, yeah, you gotta be careful. These are owned characters. So I get very surprised when I see some of these books being just put out by average people. I'm kind of worried for them that they're going to have someone come up and be like, yeah, you can't do that. You're going to pay for that. And I think some of the creators do have deals. I don't know how you go about that or anything like that. That is way past my pay grade. I'm not there, so yeah, just know that. That's why sometimes when you see a character, you clearly know who it is, but the naming of it is not their official copyrighted name, because that will get flagged right away. And I am running into issues with, there's a particular butterfly cardigan that's going around. Very pretty. Love it to bits and pieces. My problem is that there are so many people that have stolen it. Point blank. Stolen it. The one person who made it it's not the cheapest. I think it would cost me about $15 for it, but however, she has 3 videos that you have access to, 2 different graphs, and 2 different PDFs to help you get through it. So I'm okay with that. Everybody else on Etsy that has tried to mimic her pattern, every single person that has been tricked into buying it for a lot cheaper has said that it's incomplete, it's not right, it doesn't make any sense, and that just stop stealing. Just stop stealing. Please. Please, please. I understand wanting to get things for cheap because you can't afford it and stuff like that, but for certain things that someone has put their heart and soul into, don't do that to them. That's not okay. Yeah, so that's my thing. And I mean, I probably have too, as well, found patterns in the wrong way, not realizing that wasn't the original. So I'm trying to be a little more mindful about that because AI and all that good stuff, I'm being super careful about what I actually buy, because AI patterns don't make any sense, they don't work out, and they're just all about taking my few dollars I have in my pocket, and yeah, I can't afford that. I can't afford to be tricked. And I know some of the free patterns are kind of like that too sometimes, where they're just not quite all there. I was running into that problem with the amigurumis, where there were a few times where I had to wing it. They turned out okay for the most part, but again, I was still like feeling like I'm fairly new at this. I'm a little intimidated by having to figure out how to shape things and how to put these pieces on that you're not giving me anything on. I'm kind of stuck with the shredder amigurumi that I've been working on and off on. There's a few more. I don't like the way the spikes are staying on him, and those are metal spikes that I'm sewing onto him. I may have to pull out some glue and glue them on, because I feel like they're just going to end up tearing off. I do want to sew them, but I think I'm going to put a small bit of glue just to reinforce them and not have them tear off, because I'm not the greatest sewer. I don't know how else to get them to stay on there very well. But that is a problem for another day. But I'm probably just going to end up gluing it all and going from there. I have some minor lines to do on that one, but he has just not been my top priority lately. I mean, he's going to come out really cool. I'll make sure of that. Okay. Minor interruption there. Yeah. Had a phone call. Anyhow, yeah. Shredder is definitely a labor of love, just because that one I can't seem to find anybody else's pattern, free or not. So that's why sometimes what I was getting to is that sometimes the copyrighted ones are free because they're considered able to give them away as a gift rather than any money exchanged for it. So that's how some people are getting around it, but I think they're coming down on that even. So I'm not sure how this is all going to play out. I've heard some rumors about Pokemon creators getting into a bit of trouble, which really is terrible. I know there's a few series of people who do lives making all sorts of Pokemon characters. I don't know if they're going to be able to continue that or even keep the ones they've already done. So that's kind of a worrisome one for a few creators. And people who sell at markets and fairs and stuff have to be super careful that their stuff is not copyrighted. Because if you tried to sell something copyrighted, that could shut down the whole thing. So they definitely do not want you doing that. But there are plenty of things that are not copyrighted. And every year, stuff comes out of copywriting and into the domains. I mean, you can make a black and white Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse anytime you want and any way you want, simply because he's out of copyright. He is public domain now. Nor Everyday Pooh Bear, not the Disney one, but original Pooh Bear from the books, the original books, I mean, out of copyright. Wizard of Oz is another one that's out of copyright, I believe. Don't quote me on that. So a lot of these things will come out, but they are much, much older. Like things from the 1920s are now coming out of copyright. And that is pretty neat, because some of these characters, like, I'm looking at just a few more years before Batman is going to be out of copyright. I'm quite into that, because I love Batman. I want Batman stuff all over. Ooh, maybe I'll make a Batman blanket. Wow, that would be great. Oh, or a Darkwing Duck one. Oh, that would be good too. Absolutely love Darkwing Duck. I know, it's a Disney one, but he's the terror that flaps in the night. I've always absolutely loved him. I actually did a really cool drawing of him when I was younger to hang on my wall. It was one of my more favorite ones, and this is during the time space where I was putting up posters of handsome boys, because boys are great. I love that boy, and that boy, and that boy. And there's Darkwing Duck, and that was my absolute favorite. Way better than the handsome boys. To this day, I still love Darkwing Duck. Sometimes I'll just put it on as one of my comfort shows, just because it just brings me back to a place of feeling less responsibilities, a little lighter, and the story is on it are pretty darn silly. So that does it for me. But I do love watching all sorts of versions of Batman. I do. I really like the really dark version from like the mid-90s, early 90s. The music, the ambiance, the voices, just everything about it is just, I love, 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 love. And I watch those ones quite often. Those are definitely up there. It was a really tough one for me at that point in my age, because Ninja Turtles were very popular at the same time, and it was a really tough one for me to decide which one I thought was better, being that I do like a good action cartoon. I think they're great. I've been known to watch Transformers and Thundercats and all that and think they're just fantastic. I mean, they're adventurous. But I do like my girly shows too, so it's not like I'm embracing any of them more than the rest. But yeah, it's how we do. But it's very interesting to keep an eye on that kind of stuff, so I am trying my best to keep an ear out on how that's going. I've only heard minor bits and pieces because it's just at the beginning stages of starting to have these companies like Pokemon, especially. Apparently Nintendo is really reaching out to people and saying, hey, look, you can't be doing this. We're putting you on warning that we will take further steps if this continues. So that is a bit of a worry for people who are making these characters. I don't know if it includes just making them in general, or I hope not, because that is really not okay. I want to make a nice little Jigglypuff for myself to cuddle up with, because Jigglypuff has always been my favorite. He sings his little lullaby and his beautiful song, and everybody falls asleep, and when they fall asleep he gets upset and draws on them with the marker. I absolutely adore that. I mean, I've been watching Pokemon off and on since it started. It's not my go-to, but I'm definitely aware of it. My kids really like it, so I try not to be unaware. But yeah, It's just something to think about and to keep an eye on, just because it might actually impact some of the more popular creators out there and put them in a very, very, very bad place. I don't want to see these people get sued for being creative and that kind of thing. But it also might make quite a few of the patterns that are out there disappear because they are afraid they're going to get sued. And that is a valid fear. That is the problem with bringing out anything that's copyrighted, and sometimes that's what people really want you to make, is some character that they have actually has some sort of heart-to-heart relationship with in their mind, of course. Being that it's a fictional character, but still at the same time, there are certain fictional characters that, you know, bring you joy. There are a lot of people that love Garfield. Garfield's going to be in copyright for a very long time. And Garfield's like roughly about my age, so he still has quite a bit to go. But yeah, that's how that works out. Anyways, just things to think about while we're working on our crochet on this lovely rainy day. Sounds like my son is off work early today, so I get to spend the afternoon with him, which will be super delightful because we don't get a lot of time together anymore. When I'm off, he's working. When he's off, I'm working. Wait, no. When he's off, I'm working. When he's working, I'm off. There, that's what I'm trying to say. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, thanks for joining me here today at All the Crackers in the Box. And we will see you again very soon. Bye.